Stormwater runoff is currently the largest source of pollution in our waterways. And with climate change bringing heavier rain events, rainfall is expected to increase during the winter months. Meanwhile, summers are getting hotter and drier. Thankfully, there's useful strategies to manage rainfall on your property with beautiful gardens. Stormwater runoff is water that falls from the sky. It can evaporate or infiltrate into soil, or it can hit impervious surfaces where it gathers pollutants before flowing into local water bodies. Rain gardens help keep these pollutants out of waterways by filtering them through plant roots and woody organic material in the soil mix. They also create beneficial habitat for birds and insects, and they reduce flooding. A rain garden is a shallow depression filled with a special soil mix and planted with plants that like wet conditions. These special plants and soils treat pollution and process excess stormwater, allowing it to soak back into the groundwater or evapotranspire. When considering your own rain garden, it's important to choose the right place in your landscape, the right size, and plan for proper maintenance over time.
We're here at Paradise Parking Plots in Kent, Washington, and the rain comes falling down and hits all this asphalt and picks up the oil and picks up the brake pads and runs down this asphalt parking lot. And what would normally just go down a drain away into our water supply, into the watershed, is now getting filtered by this fabulous rain garden. Here is what that looked like before.
So Paradise Parking Plots Community Garden was this old parking lot that we transformed into this vibrant community garden space. It was started back in 2016 by Tahmina Martelli, who herself was an asylee. We've actually took all that asphalt out by hand, and then we excavated all the soil out and brought in this new bioretention soil to replace all of it.
We have 5 rain gardens. This is the biggest one. It's called Reclaiming Home, and it was actually designed by middle and high school students.
On this particular one, this inflow is coming off of a parking lot. Are you doing a lot of maintenance there? Are you having a lot of debris, trash?
Yeah, you do have to do a little dig out of the inflow. The parking lot asphalt material does build up, and we'll take out the rocks, do a little digging out. That's probably about once a year.
Here we have the rain garden overflow. Very rare that this overflow would be used.
When the plants got established and everything kind of stabilized out, that actually hasn't overflowed. And we actually have minimal ponding happening even in this rain garden.
Oh, that's great. So the plants are doing the job.
They're doing the
job. Soaking it up.
So the space is so many different things happening at once. We have stormwater management, we have a space to grow culturally relevant foods, interact with the soil, and also a place for kids and families to be outside in a safe space.
So all of the water that doesn't get captured in that first rain garden is running down to this bioswale and getting filtered before going down the drains.
And these ducks are now taking up residence also.
From asphalt runoff to duck habitat.
We're located in a place where flooding is a very prevalent thing. So not only does the rain garden and the bioswale help with the flooding aspect, it also helps decrease water pollution that ends up in the Puget Sound. And at the same time, it's also helping water the plants that actually grow and help people come together.
To choose the location of your rain garden, first identify the water sources you want to capture, like downspouts, gutters, or driveways. Next, find a spot that's away from buildings, utilities, septic fields, and steep slopes. Dig a test hole 2 feet deep in the area to test your soil infiltration. Pour in 8 to 12 inches of water and track how long it takes to drain. Divide the number of inches drained by the number of hours to get your infiltration rate. Next, measure the surface area where you'll be collecting water. Make the garden 10 to 20% the size of this area. To install your garden, excavate a hole this size, then partially refill the hole with a well-draining soil mix, leaving 6 to 12 inches at the top for water to pond. Decide how water will enter the garden through a pipe or a swale. Add an overflow for water to safely exit the garden when floods are too big.
Today we are digging and installing a rain garden. Hooray! We're here at Kent Meridian High School, and this is a really incredible project. These students learned about rain gardens and said, hey, we could do that at our own school. Let's make a difference here. The essentials of a rain garden is you're digging a hole and you're filling it with compost and sand. However, you have to know about plumbing, you have to know about plants, you got to know about soils, and you have to be paying attention to slopes. I get to do lots of residential rain gardens that a few hundred people might see during the course of a year. Here we're digging a rain garden while the students are on spring break, and next week thousands of students will get to see and interact with this, and they'll take away a greater understanding of the importance of our water system.
So we're here today at the Coopville Library to take a look at the rain gardens. We have one at our entrance on the north side of the library, and we have a second one to the west. Today, of course, is a beautiful day, which we're grateful for. But when it rains down here, the water comes off this hill, and boy, you can see it going across the paved parking lots. The rain garden helps to filtrate that water. It's worked very well. We are an educational institution, and it's a piece that we can utilize to educate folks. And people do stop and they do read those signs and learn about it. It's just a really nice compliment to the whole community at large. And low maintenance, it rocks.
Your conservation district can help pick rain garden plants well suited to your local conditions. You'll plant your garden in 3 zones. Zone 1 is the ponding area at the bottom of the rain garden. Choose plants that tolerate wet feet in the winter as well as summer drought. Zone 2 is the slope sides, which occasionally flood. Add plants that can tolerate occasional saturation. Zone 3 is the top of the garden where you can blend into the rest of your landscaping using more drought-tolerant plants. Adding at least 3 inches of woody coarse mulch is important to prevent erosion and weeds. It helps retain moisture and allows the plants to establish deep, drought-resistant roots. Apply a thick layer between plants, but avoid the area near plant stems. Water deeply and infrequently to get plants established and encourage deep rooting. You'll need to water more frequently the first summer while your garden is new. Weed your garden often while your plants are young and as needed in the long term.
We're at the Green Bank Farm, and this is a rain garden that was a joint venture between Green Bank Farm and the Conservation District. It takes the water that comes off the roof for this barn, and you can see that the gutters are coming down into the ground here. I was new to Woodby Island when I first came here, and so this is my first hands-on experience where I actually got my hands dirty, and now I come back several years later to see how this garden is doing, and I see lots of weeds, but they're not necessarily bad weeds. Because eventually the plants, they know what to do. Because of this idea of creating a little patch of a native community, I've done that on my own property, and it feels doable. And that interests me because it creates habitat for insects and birds. It puts life into the soil.
We look at our rapid development of cities and we're putting in so much gray space, so much gray space. So every green space we preserve and make more effective at contributing to water filtration is just a step in the right direction. So thank you for caring.
Together, these small improvements can make a big difference for water quality. Contact your local conservation district today to see how you can get started on your own rain garden project for a more attractive, sustainable landscape.